What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it everything else will be easier or unnecessary? That question, the focusing question, is the beating heart of The One Thing, a book that has transformed how millions of people think about productivity, success, and the nature of extraordinary results. Written by Gary Keller, the founder of the world's largest real estate company, and his co-author Jay Papasan, the book dismantles the common myth that success comes from doing more, working harder, and managing time better. Instead, it reveals a counterintuitive truth. Extraordinary results are not created by a long to-do list, but by a very short success list, ideally, a list of one. The core principle is deceptively simple. You cannot achieve greatness by spreading yourself thin. You must go small. You must find the single most important activity that, once accomplished, will make every other task either easier or completely unnecessary. This is the domino effect applied to your life and work. Imagine a line of dominoes. The first domino can knock over a second domino that is 50% larger, which knocks over a third that is 50% larger, and so on. After just 10 dominoes, the force is enough to topple a domino the size of a football field. By the 57th domino, you could theoretically knock over one that would reach the moon. This is not a fantasy, it is a metaphor for how focused, sequential action produces exponential results. Most people never achieve extraordinary results because they try to push over many dominoes at once. They work on 5 projects, answer emails, attend meetings, and juggle tasks. But they never find the lead domino, the one thing that will start the chain reaction. The book's entire philosophy rests on the focusing question because it forces you to filter out the noise and identify the highest leverage action at any given moment. You can ask the question about your life. What's the one thing I can do to transform my career? You can ask it about your day. What's the one thing I can do in the next hour that will make the rest of the day easier? You can ask it about your relationships, your health, your finances. The question works because it is recursive. You can ask it again and again, each time narrowing your focus until you arrive at a single, concrete, doable action. But to understand why this question is so powerful, you must first understand the 6 lies that keep people from asking it and acting on it. The first lie is that everything matters equally. This is the trap of the long to-do list. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, where being busy is often mistaken for being productive. But activity is not the same as productivity. A list of 20 tasks is not a roadmap to success. It is a source of anxiety and fragmentation. The truth is that not all tasks are created equal. The 80-20th principle, also known as the Pareto principle, states that roughly 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. The key is to find that 20%, and then apply the 80-20th principle again to that 20%, and again, until you are left with the single most important task. This is the success list, a short, prioritized list that contains only the actions that will move the needle. The lie of equality keeps you stuck in a state of busyness, but the truth is that some things are just far more important than others. When you treat everything as equally urgent, you end up doing nothing well. The second lie is that multitasking is a virtue. We often brag about our ability to juggle multiple tasks at once, but the science is clear. Multitasking is a myth. What we call multitasking is actually task switching, and each switch comes with a cognitive cost. Studies have shown that switching between tasks can increase the time it takes to complete them by up to 25% or more, and it degrades the quality of the work. The human brain is not designed to process 2 demanding cognitive tasks simultaneously. When you try to write an email while listening to a conference call, your brain is rapidly switching attention back and forth, burning mental energy and increasing errors. The most productive people in the world are not multitaskers, they are single taskers. They block out time for one thing, and they give it their full, undivided attention. This is the only way to enter a state of flow, where time seems to disappear and you produce your best work. The lie of multitasking leads to exhaustion and mediocrity, while the truth of single tasking leads to mastery and extraordinary results. The third lie is that you need to be a super disciplined person to succeed. This lie is particularly dangerous because it suggests that success is reserved for a select few with superhuman willpower. In reality, success is not about being disciplined in everything you do. It is about being disciplined enough to build a few key habits. A habit is a behavior that you do automatically without relying on willpower. Willpower is a finite resource that depletes over time, much like a battery. When you rely on willpower to force yourself to do difficult things, you will eventually run out. But when you turn a behavior into a habit, it no longer requires willpower. The key is to choose the most important habit, the one that will support your one thing, and then use your limited supply of willpower to practice it until it becomes automatic. For example, if you want to write a book, you don't need to be disciplined every day. You need to build the habit of writing for 2 hours every morning. After a few weeks, it becomes automatic, and your willpower is freed up for other challenges. The lie of the super disciplined person makes you feel inadequate, but the truth is that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results by building just a few powerful habits. The fourth lie is that willpower is always available. We often assume that we can summon the willpower to do whatever we need to do at any moment, but this is a dangerous assumption. Willpower is a limited resource that fluctuates throughout the day. It is strongest in the morning, after a good night's sleep, and it depletes as the day goes on as you make decisions, resist temptations, and exert self-control. This is known as ego depletion. To be productive, you must manage your willpower like a precious resource. Do your most important work, your one thing, during your peak willpower hours, typically in the morning. Do not waste your willpower on trivial decisions like what to wear, what to eat for breakfast, or which email to answer first. By understanding the limits of willpower and planning your day accordingly, you can accomplish far more than if you assume it will always be there when you need it. The lie of constant willpower leads to afternoon slumps and unfinished projects, but the truth is that willpower is like a muscle. It can be strengthened over time, but it also needs rest and proper management. The fifth lie is that you need to maintain a balanced life. The pursuit of balance is a trap. The idea that you should give equal time and energy to all areas of your life, work, family, health, friends, hobbies, is a recipe for mediocrity. To achieve something extraordinary in one area, you will inevitably have to let other areas slip. This is not a failure of balance, it is the reality of focus. The key is to understand that you are not aiming for a static equilibrium but for a dynamic one. You will have seasons of imbalance where you pour your energy into your one thing, and other seasons where you pull back to restore other parts of your life. For example, when you are launching a business or writing a book, you may have less time for socializing or hobbies. That is okay. The lie of balance keeps you afraid of commitment, but the truth is that extraordinary success requires short-term, intentional imbalance. As long as you never neglect your non-negotiable priorities like your health and your family for too long, getting out of balance in the pursuit of your one thing is not only acceptable but necessary. The book advises that you should think of balance as a pendulum that swings from side to side, not a scale that stays perfectly level. The sixth and final lie is that big is bad. Many people are afraid to think big because they are afraid to fail. They set small, safe goals that they are sure they can achieve, but in doing so, they limit their potential. The truth is that you will never achieve anything bigger than what you dare to imagine. Thinking big is not a guarantee of success, but thinking small is a guarantee of mediocrity. When you set a big, audacious goal, you force yourself to think creatively, to find new paths, and to grow. Even if you fall short of that big goal, you will likely end up far ahead of where you would have been if you had aimed low. The fear of thinking big is often a fear of what other people will think. But the only opinion that matters is your own. Give yourself permission to dream without limits. Your one thing is not meant to be a modest, incremental goal. It is meant to be a goal that excites you, scares you a little, and pushes you to become more than you are today. The lie of big is bad keeps you playing small, but the truth is that big thinking is the first step toward big results. Once you have rejected these 6 lies, you are ready to implement the practical system of the one thing. That system begins with goal setting, but not the kind of goal setting you are used to. Most people set vague, long-term goals that are disconnected from daily action. Keller recommends working backward from your biggest dream to what you need to do right now. Start with your someday goal, the big, audacious dream that you want to achieve in the long term, perhaps 10 or 20 years from now. Then ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do in the next 5 years to be on track for that someday goal? Write down that one thing. Then ask, what's the one thing I can do this year to be on track for that 5-year goal? Then ask, what's the one thing I can do this month to be on track for this year's goal? Then ask, what's the one thing I can do this week to be on track for this month's goal? Then ask, what's the one thing I can do today to be on track for this week's goal? Finally, ask, what's the one thing I can do right now to be on track for today's goal? This backward goal setting method creates a clear, actionable chain of dominoes from your present moment all the way to your biggest dreams. It transforms an abstract ambition into a concrete, immediate action. Most people fail because they try to jump from the someday goal directly to today's action without the intermediate steps, and they become overwhelmed. The backward method breaks the journey into manageable chunks, each one leading to the next. Having identified your one thing for today, the next step is to protect the time to do it. This is where the concept of time blocking becomes essential. Time blocking is the practice of scheduling a specific, non-negotiable block of time on your calendar for your one thing. This is not a to-do list item, it is a sacred appointment with yourself. Keller recommends blocking out 4 hours a day, ideally in the morning, for your one thing. During this time, you turn off your phone, close your email, shut your door, and eliminate all distractions. You do not check social media, you do not answer messages, and you do not switch to another task. You simply do your one thing for the entire block. This level of focused, uninterrupted work is the only way to produce extraordinary results. It is also the hardest part of the system because it requires saying no to 1,000 other demands. But the ability to say no, strategically, politely, and firmly, is the superpower of the highly successful. Every time you say yes to something that is not your one thing, you are saying no to your one thing. Protect your time blocks with your life. If you cannot block 4 hours, start with 1 hour, or even 30 minutes. The important thing is to start. Over time, you can extend your blocks as your discipline grows. The book also introduces the concept of the 4 thieves that steal your productivity. The first thief is the inability to say no. If you cannot say no to others, you are saying yes to distraction. The second thief is the fear of chaos. When you focus on your one thing, the rest of your life will often become messy. Emails will pile up, small tasks will be delayed, and people will demand your attention. This chaos is not a sign that you are failing, it is a sign that you are focusing. You must make peace with the mess. The third thief is poor health habits. Your brain and body need sleep, exercise, and proper nutrition to perform at their best. If you sacrifice your health to work longer hours, you will eventually burn out and produce less, not more. The fourth thief is an environment that does not support your one thing. Your physical and digital workspace should be designed for focus, not distraction. Remove clutter, turn off notifications, and create a space that signals to your brain that it is time to work. Another powerful concept from the book is the path of mastery. Mastery is not a destination, it is a lifelong journey of continuous learning and deliberate practice. To become a master in your field, you must embrace the discipline of focusing on your one thing relentlessly. This means committing to the process of getting better every day, even when the results are not immediately visible. Mastery requires patience, resilience, and a willingness to be a beginner again and again. The path of mastery is not for the faint of heart, but it is the only path to truly extraordinary results. It is about stacking dominoes day after day, year after year, until you have created an empire of achievement. Keller uses the example of a world-class violinist or an Olympic athlete. They did not become great by practicing many things. They became great by practicing the same fundamental skills thousands of times, each time with focused attention. The same principle applies to any field, from sales to software development to parenting. The book also acknowledges the importance of the personal life. While the one thing philosophy is often applied to career and business goals, it is equally applicable to relationships, health, and personal fulfillment. You can ask the focusing question about your marriage. What's the one thing I can do for my spouse today such that by doing it everything else in our relationship will be easier or unnecessary? You can ask it about your health. What's the one thing I can do for my body today such that by doing it everything else about my health will be easier or unnecessary? You can ask it about your spiritual life, your finances, or your friendships. The beauty of the system is that it is universal. It works for any area of your life because it is based on the fundamental principle of focus. The book argues that you do not need to balance all areas of your life equally. You need to identify the one thing in each area and focus on it sequentially. This is the secret to living a full, successful life without burning out. For example, you might spend 3 months focusing intensely on a work project, then take a week to focus on your family, then a month to focus on your health. The key is to be intentional about what you are focusing on and what you are temporarily ignoring. The book also provides practical advice for handling interruptions and staying on track. One technique is the Seinfeld method of habit tracking. Put a calendar on the wall and put a big red X on every day that you do your one thing. After a few days, you will have a chain of X's, and your only goal is to not break the chain. Another technique is to schedule your time blocks at the same time every day so that they become a habit. If you know that from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. you are always working on your one thing, your brain will begin to prepare for that period automatically. You should also communicate your schedule to your colleagues, family, and friends. Tell them that you are not available during your time blocks except for genuine emergencies. Most people will respect your boundaries if you are clear and consistent. One of the most important chapters in the book deals with the concept of purposeful unhappiness. When you commit to your one thing, you will inevitably experience periods of unhappiness because you are saying no to other things that might bring you pleasure. You might miss a party because you are working late, or you might skip a workout because you are finishing a project. This unhappiness is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is a sign that you are making trade-offs. The key is to ensure that the unhappiness is temporary and that the long-term reward is worth the short-term sacrifice. Purposeful unhappiness is the price of extraordinary results. If you are not willing to pay that price, you will never achieve anything beyond the ordinary. The book encourages you to embrace the discomfort as a signal that you are pushing your limits and growing. In the final sections, Keller returns to the focusing question and offers a challenge. Ask it every day for the rest of your life. Not once a year, not once a month, but every single day. Ask it when you wake up. What's the one thing I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? Ask it when you get stuck. What's the one thing I can do right now to move forward? Ask it when you feel overwhelmed. What's the one thing I can do to simplify this situation? The question never gets old, and it always works. It is a tool that cuts through complexity and reveals the essential action. Over time, asking the focusing question becomes a habit, and that habit becomes the foundation of a life of extraordinary results. The book closes with a simple but profound reminder. Success is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters most. Find your one thing, then go knock it down. Then find the next one thing. That is the rhythm of greatness.